Welcome back to the channel. Today's story is unlike anything you've heard before. He had just returned to Nigeria after spending 7 years in the village with his grandmother. His father, now living in the city, had married another woman, a younger one. This new wife had no children of her own and was known in the compound for always dressing too young for her age. When he arrived at the house, she welcomed him with a strange smile. "So this is your son?" she asked, almost like she didn't believe it. He stood quietly, carrying a dusty bag and a few documents. The house was bigger than anything he had seen before. The walls were painted cream, and the scent of air freshener fought with the smell of fried eggs from the kitchen. That night, his father gave him a mattress to lay in the parlor. But around midnight, while everyone was asleep, she tiptoed into the living room. He was half awake when he felt someone sit near him. Her voice was soft. "It's too cold here," she said, wrapping herself in a shawl. At first, he thought she came to check on him. But her hand brushed his leg in a way that froze him. He wanted to speak but couldn't. She whispered, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Your father doesn't have to know." By morning, he couldn't look her in the eye. She smiled like nothing happened. His father handed him an envelope later that day. "Your stepmother helped me get you a job in her friend's company," he said proudly. His mouth was dry. He took the envelope, nodding slowly. His mind was on fire. That same woman who crossed a line in the dark was now the one opening doors for him. But at what cost? The house suddenly felt like a trap. The parlor felt like it had eyes. Every corner seemed to remember what happened that night. The next morning, he sat on the edge of his mattress, staring at nothing. His shirt was still rumpled from sleep, but his mind wasn't resting. He heard her humming in the kitchen, like she wasn't the same person who had whispered things no mother should ever say. When his father came out, dressed for work, he looked proud. "I spoke to your stepmother," he said. "She pulled some strings. You're starting work tomorrow." He nodded, still numb. By afternoon, she came to him with a pressed shirt in her hands. "Wear this on your first day," she said sweetly. "You'll look responsible." He took the shirt, not saying a word. Her hand brushed his again, too long to be innocent. She smiled like they were sharing a secret. He hated it. Every second felt like walking through broken glass. That night, he waited till the lights were off before creeping outside to call his friend, Kunnel. "Bro, I know how to talk this thing," he whispered. "But my papa wife, she dey do somehow." "Wetin she do?" He couldn't find the words. "I no fit talk am." Kunnel laughed. "You don dey see city things, abi?" But it wasn't funny. It wasn't even confusion anymore. It was shame. The next day, he arrived at the office. The building was nice, clean, and cold from too much AC. The receptionist smiled and directed him to a seat. While he waited, he looked around, new faces, new chances. Maybe he could pretend the house didn't exist. But then she walked in. His stepmother. In a tight dress, heels clicking on the tiles. She walked straight to the front desk, winked at the receptionist, and turned like she didn't know him. He swallowed hard. Why was she here? She leaned close to the receptionist and whispered, then turned and said loudly, "He's with me. He's family." Everyone turned to look. He stood slowly, face stiff, hands clenched. Family. Was that what they were now? She acted like nothing was wrong. Throughout the office, she carried herself with power, laughing with managers, flashing her white teeth at anyone who cared to look. He sat behind a desk in the back room, pretending to type while his mind boiled. Every now and then, someone would say, "Na your auntie be that? She fine no." He forced a smile. "Yes, ma." By lunchtime, she called him aside. "Follow me." They entered a small side office, empty and quiet. She locked the door. He shifted backward, instantly alert. "Relax," she said, placing her purse on the table. "I just wanted to talk without people listening." He remained standing. "You're smart," she began. "This job. I gave it to you. Nobody else. Not your father. Me." He said nothing. She walked closer. "You don't have to act like I'm a stranger. You enjoyed it too. Don't lie." His face twitched. She smirked. "Listen, we can help each other. You keep quiet, stay loyal, and I'll make sure you rise fast in this company." "And if I say no?" She tilted her head. "Then maybe you'll lose your job before the weekend. Maybe your father will think you're ungrateful. Maybe people will say you're trying to destroy your father's marriage." He exhaled sharply. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was a trap, and she had already tied the rope around his neck. When he returned to his seat, he couldn't focus. He typed nonsense on his screen while his ears burned. Later that evening, Connell called him again. "Guy, how work?" He hesitated, then whispered, "She dey control everything, Connell. Even for the office. You wan leave. I no even know if I fit." She had power. And she knew how to use it. At home, his father was watching football and laughing. She brought him chilled malt and plantain chips. The perfect wife. But as she passed by the boy, she dropped a note beside his chair. He opened it quietly. "Meet me in the kitchen by midnight. Or lose everything." Midnight came too fast. He lay on the mattress, wide-eyed, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun slowly like time dragging its feet. The whole house was quiet, his father snoring faintly from the master bedroom. Then he heard it. A soft clink from the kitchen. He got up. Slowly. Quietly. Every step felt like betrayal. She was already there when he arrived. Wearing a wrapper and a singlet, barefoot, leaning against the fridge like she owned the world. The light above them flickered once, then stayed on. "You came," she whispered. He stood still. "I like boys who obey instructions," she said, walking past him and brushing his arm. She opened the cupboard and brought out a flask. "You're hungry." He didn't answer. She placed food on the table and pulled out a chair. "Eat." He sat, not because he wanted to, but because saying no would start something worse. She watched him. "You're special," she said. "I see how the other girls at the office look at you. But you belong to me." His hand stopped midair. "I gave you this life," she added. "And I can take it away." He dropped the spoon. "What do you want from me?" he asked finally. She leaned in, her voice dropping. "Just your silence. And your loyalty." He stood up. "You're my father's wife." "And you think he cares?" she snapped. "He doesn't even notice you." "I do. I'm the one who sees your struggle, your pain. I'm the one lifting you." She stepped closer again. He stepped back. She smiled. "Don't fight what you can't win." He left the kitchen without touching the food. But she had already won the round. He couldn't tell anyone. He couldn't leave the house. He couldn't quit the job. The trap wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional. And she knew it. He lay back down on his mattress, heart beating like a drum. Outside, the moonlight slipped through the window, but it brought no peace. Morning came, but the weight didn't lift. He walked into the office like a ghost. Smiling when needed, nodding when spoken to, but inside, everything was broken. The job everyone admired felt like a cage. He couldn't tell anyone what it really cost. At his desk, he opened his laptop, pretending to work. The screen blurred as his thoughts spun out of control. Then, someone tapped him. It was Mama Esther, the old office cleaner. Always quiet, always observing. She leaned closer and whispered, "Young man, be careful." He looked up, confused. She glanced around and lowered her voice even more. "Some women use charm. Others use control. But all na bondage." He swallowed hard. "You dey understand me?" she asked, eyes sharp. He nodded slowly. She tapped the desk. "Your light still day. Don't let her steal 'em finish." Then she walked away. He sat frozen. How did she know? Was it that obvious? Later that day, his stepmother walked in wearing another fitted dress, laughing with one of the managers. She saw him but pretended not to. That was her new trick: act innocent in public, rule like a queen in private. During lunch break, she slipped him a note again. "You're doing well. Come upstairs after close." He crushed the paper in his fist. Enough was enough. He decided to avoid her. He left the office immediately after work, skipping the upstairs meeting. Took the long route home. Stopped to buy bread he didn't need. Delayed as much as possible. When he finally got home, the compound was quiet. His father's car wasn't in the driveway. Relief. But as he stepped inside, she was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, arms folded. "So you think you're smart," she said. He didn't answer. "You think you can avoid me?" He walked past her, ignoring the pounding in his chest. She followed him to the room. "You owe me. And I don't like disrespect." He turned sharply. "I owe you nothing." Her eyes flared. "You've made a mistake." He shut the door behind him. But deep down, he knew, it wasn't over. By the next morning, the air in the house had changed. She wasn't smiling anymore. No more notes. No more playful threats. Just silence, and that silence was louder than any scream. He got ready for work, but the minute he stepped outside, he saw her at the gate, waiting, arms folded. "You disrespected me," she said, blocking his way. "I just want peace," he muttered. She moved closer. "Then do what I say." A neighbor peeked through their window. "Leave me alone," he said louder, stepping back. Before he could walk away, she did something bold. She grabbed his face and kissed him, right there by the gate. He pushed her off, but it was too late. 2 people across the street gasped. Someone had seen it. He looked around. A woman fetching water stared. A man paused on his motorcycle. She wiped her lips slowly. "Now run and explain that," she said coldly, walking back inside. He stood frozen. In just a few seconds, she had flipped everything. If he talked now, it would look like he was the one chasing her. At the office, everyone was strangely polite. Too polite. Even Connell texted him, "Wetin I hear for street true?" He didn't reply. Mama Esther caught his eyes again and shook her head. She knew. During lunch, one of the female staff walked by and whispered, "So now you dey follow your papa wife?" He stood up and left the office, his throat dry. By the time he got home, his father was already inside. Watching the news. Calm. Unaware. She served him food, smiled like nothing happened, and sat beside him like a loyal wife. Then, she looked at the boy and mouthed the words, "Your move." His hands trembled. He couldn't breathe properly. That kiss, bold and shameless, was not just a warning. It was war. He didn't sleep that night. He lay on the mattress, wide awake, his body stiff, his eyes dry. Every sound from outside made him flinch. At one point, he thought of running away, but where would he go? With what money? His phone buzzed around 2 a.m. It was Connell. "Guy, wetin really happen?" the message read. "Dem say na you dey press your papa wife." He stared at the screen for minutes before replying. "She's the one doing it. I've been quiet. But she kissed me by force. In front of people." Connell's reply came quick. Guy, talk out. Say something before she twists everything. He started typing, but stopped. Talk to who? His father. Who thought she was a gift from heaven. The HR at work. She got him the job. Even the neighbors already believed what they saw. No one saw her chase him. They only saw the kiss. By morning, he made a decision. He would leave that house. He packed his things into his bag quietly. A few shirts, his documents, and 2 old shoes. His heart pounded as he zipped it shut. But as he walked out into the parlor, she was there again. Sitting, legs crossed, sipping tea. Going somewhere? She asked. I can't live like this anymore, he said. She smiled. Then return the job. I'll tell my friend to fire you today. And you'll explain to your father why you left the house he struggled to build. He clenched his fists. You think people will believe you, she continued. They already think you seduced me. They're laughing at your father already. He dropped the bag. Not because she was right, but because he was tired. So tired. She stood up and walked close. Choose peace, my dear. Just follow my lead, and nothing will scatter. He sat down slowly. His chest felt heavy. This wasn't peace. It was control. But he didn't know how to fight anymore. Not when everyone around had already chosen their side. Days passed, but he was barely present. At work, he moved like a shadow, doing tasks, answering when spoken to, but avoiding everyone's eyes. The whispers followed him everywhere. Laughter in corners. Side glances. Judgment without trial. She had destroyed him silently. But one afternoon, something shifted. Mama Esther, the cleaner, came to him again, this time with a sealed brown envelope. Your eyes day too dull, she said gently. Maybe this go help you see clearer. He looked at her, confused. What's inside? Truth. She walked away before he could ask more. He opened the envelope slowly under his desk. Inside was a flash drive and a note. Check it alone. After work. And pray before you open it. He didn't know what to think. But he waited. The moment the office emptied, he plugged the drive into his system and clicked on the video file. It was grainy. Shaky. But clear enough. It showed a hidden view from the hallway camera facing the front gate. The day she kissed him. It caught the angle clearly, her grabbing him, pulling him close, and him pushing her off immediately. He stared at the screen, heart racing. This was it. Proof. Someone had been watching. He sat back, overwhelmed. Mama Esther must have had access through the cleaning office. Maybe she knew more than she ever said. He copied the file to his phone and backed it up immediately. For the first time in weeks, he felt something close to hope. That night, he walked into the house differently. She was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. You're back early, she said. He sat down, calm. Too calm. I want to show you something, he said, bringing out his phone. She raised a brow. What is it? He pressed play. The moment she saw the footage, her face changed. Her legs uncrossed. The phone slipped from her hand. He didn't speak. Just watched her. She stood up slowly. Where did you get that? He kept staring. Delete it, she said, panic crawling into her voice. No. He smiled for the first time. I don't think so. She took 2 steps toward him, then paused. Her voice cracked. You don't know what you're doing. He leaned back, still calm. I know exactly what I'm doing. She laughed nervously. You think anybody will believe a video over my word? I'll say you begged me. That you seduced me. Who do you think they'll believe? He stood up. I don't need them to believe. I just need you to know, I'm not scared anymore." Her face dropped. For the first time, she looked small. Threats didn't work anymore. She wasn't in control. He turned to walk into his room, but his father's voice froze them both. "What video?" They turned. He had entered quietly. No one heard the gate. No one heard the door. He was standing there, keys still in hand, confusion written on his face. She recovered first. "Honey, it's nothing. Just office drama." He didn't blink. "Let me see the video." She stammered. "It's not even serious." "I said let me see it." The boy handed him the phone silently. His father pressed play. Watched. Watched again. Then silence. The room became heavy. A thunderstorm without thunder. The woman started crying. "Please," she whispered. "It's not what it looks like." He looked at her slowly, eyes blank. "You kissed my son?" She rushed to kneel. "I didn't mean to, I was confused, he was always around, he." "Enough." He shouted so loud the windows seemed to shake. She flinched. The boy stepped back. "You were supposed to be my wife," the man shouted. "How long? How long has this madness been going on?" She sobbed louder. "He was seducing me." The boy's voice came out sharp. "That's a lie." But the father was no longer listening. He dropped the phone and sat down heavily, like something inside him had broken. The woman crawled to him, but he shoved her hand away. "Leave this house," he said coldly. "Tonight." Her eyes widened. "Where will I go?" "Not my business." The boy watched her crumble. For the first time, she was the one with no power. She packed in silence. No more arrogance, no more smirks, just trembling hands and shaky breathing. Her heels were gone, she now wore simple slippers. She shoved clothes into a bag without folding them. The house she once ruled had turned its back on her. The boy stood by the corridor, watching from a distance. He didn't feel victorious. Just free. A strange, heavy kind of freedom. His father hadn't spoken a word to him since the video. Only silence. But not the dangerous kind. It was the silence of a man trying to understand how his whole world cracked in one night. She walked toward the door, dragging her bag behind her. When she reached the entrance, she paused. "You ruined everything," she said, voice barely above a whisper. He didn't answer. "You think you've won, but this world isn't fair to people like you." Still, he said nothing. She scoffed and opened the door, but his father was already standing there, holding her wedding ring. "You forgot this," he said, dropping it at her feet. She stared at it, then looked away. As she walked out of the compound, neighbors peeked again. This time, not with curiosity, but with judgment. The same woman who kissed a boy at the gate, now carrying her shame out in full daylight. His father turned and looked at his son. "I didn't raise you, but I'm proud you spoke up." The boy swallowed hard. "I didn't even know if it was worth saying." "It always is," the man replied. "Silence can kill." They stood there for a while. Just breathing. Later that evening, his father sat beside him in the parlor and said, "You can keep the job. I'll talk to HR." The boy looked at him. "You believe me?" "I saw the video." That was all the confirmation he needed. That night, he finally slept. No footsteps in the dark. No notes. No threats. Just peace. And in a strange way, that peace felt louder than all the noise that came before it.